Welcome to Spiritual. Dear friends, I am Jeshua. I come to remind you of who you are, your strength and your greatness. You are an inexhaustible source of light that continually refreshes, that grows and expands, an exuberant flow of divine energy. I want to infuse you with this energy, and I ask that you allow this energy to flow fully into your mind, your body, your entire life, so that your soul's energy can express itself here on earth. I appeal to you to let go of old and false images of unworthiness. I want to speak to you today about self-esteem and self-empowerment, about daring to stand up and believe in the fire that you carry inside. This fire is your light. It wants to burn brightly here and now, but each of you has taken in so much false information about who you are and who you should be, that there has been a weakening of your spiritual power and your originality, your uniqueness. At this time in the evolution of humanity, new spiritual forces are being liberated, and that can only happen completely and truly through the people who are now living on earth. A new time and energy is being born through you, and that can only arise in a deeply rooted way if you completely embrace your own worth. Men and women both have been misled by society through its traditions and educational processes, so that images of sin, shame, and guilt continue to cling to and live within you all. Life is portrayed as a struggle to prove yourself and a fight to survive. In this tradition, a very limited form of male energy is being posited as being necessary in life, and that position rests essentially on an unstable foundation of fear and the need for control. This form of male energy has for centuries also dominated spirituality. Christian spirituality has become male-dominated through the church, and thus lost connection with its origin. You are here to restore the Christ energy with its origin, to restore the living heart of it within yourself, and to bring that forth and pass it on to others. I recognize you as my brothers and sisters. You are so dear to me, and what saddens me most is to see how you belittle and disparage yourself, how dejected you feel about who you are. Images of sin, shame, and guilt deceive you all. Let us look at how those images play a role in the life of both men and women. In men, these images are impressed into them during their early boyhood education by the emphasis that is placed on performance and competition, and on standing out from others, on being able to stand your ground and being tough and showing your masculinity. Sensitivity and feminine qualities, such as being able to connect and empathize with others, are rejected as being unmanly, as characteristics not belonging to a man. The emphasis is put on not distinguishing oneself, but rather on empathy with others and being prepared to serve others. The caring, giving quality is emphasized. These two role models are still affecting the male and the female psyche, and they present false images. A woman is supposed to find her real value in the giving of herself and in her empathy and caring for others. She thereby loses her own strength and the ability to stand tall, and to take a stance and clearly position herself in the world. But it is only on the basis of a woman claiming her autonomy, her freedom and independence in the world, that the female energy can flow with its true power. If that foundation of autonomy is missing, women become weakened and they do not assume the position and power in the world that should belong to them. The traditional role model for women veils their sharp mind and adventurousness. In men, it is in a sense the other way around. In the course of their upbringing they are often shielded from their hearts, their sensitivity, and their need to be caring, to love, and to protect. They must distinguish themselves and are forced into an inevitable loneliness, isolation, and the feeling of being lost, which sets them apart from the whole. Sometimes they truly lose their sensitivity and do not dare to give themselves over to the flow of emotions, feelings, and love that is also certainly present in their hearts. There is a desire in the male soul to also embody the female nature, which is already an intrinsic part of their soul, but men tend to project this desire outside themselves onto women. Women, too, tend to project their desire for power and discernment onto men. But if both sexes cannot find these qualities within themselves, there emerges a painful relationship between men and women. They feel a need for one another, At the same time there is conflict, because dependency is never a good basis for a truly loving relationship. Both sexes need to make an inner connection with their own male and female powers. These energies belong together. They are like a helix that is entwined around itself. Only together can they grow and flourish. What happens to the self-esteem of men and women when they have to live up to what are actually such one-dimensional stereotypes of masculinity and femininity? The man often develops a persona or false ego that he must present to the world, because he feels he must prove himself. He must perform and be a man of action. The woman also develops a persona, because she must be charming, nice, helpful, and giving. When both sexes try to show the other side of themselves, there usually arise feelings of guilt, shame, of not being good enough, or their opposite, of being self-important or arrogant. Look, for example, at the hatred in your history as a reaction to homosexuality. Men who explicitly put forward their feminine side and showed pleasure in doing that, were considered the epitome of depravity. Limits had been exceeded that were supposed to remain intact. And why was this so? Apparently it was necessary to place men and women in tight boxes in order to suppress their true spiritual power and unique strength, because these stereotypes have all been acted out against a backdrop of the energy of dominance and power. You all have had to deal with this suppressive energy, sometimes as victim and sometimes as perpetrator, so you may wonder why this attitude developed. You can look at the situation this way. The creative adventure on Earth, the entire cycle of lives and ever more lives, is a huge process of growth. It is a long journey in which you have experienced the extremes of what you might call duality, world of form, light and dark, connectedness and separateness, male and female. You have traveled far from home, and this is not without meaning. This experience has great worth and brings forth a deep richness in every soul who participates, but it also means that you have descended into the realms of fear, desolation, and oblivion of your true self. I am here to remind you of who you are in this descent into darkness and of your experience of both sides of the energies of power and dominance, victim and perpetrator. Now is a moment in the cycle of life on Earth when it is time to return to a greater equilibrium, to more balance, so I call upon you to remember who you are. You came from a source of inexhaustible light, a light that is peaceful, yet flows and is dynamic, and which experiences and explores. There was no omniscient God, no dominant ruler who determined your life, but a completely free flow of light that reveals itself both in the male and the female energies, and in different forms that all fit together so beautifully. Feel again the original bond between energies, the dance of the feminine and the masculine. The female power is about connection and unification. It brings energies together. The female energy opens outward from the heart and receives with love and tender gentleness. In a certain way, the female energy carries the universe. It is the source of connectedness, of oneness. Feel the power of this energy. She is present in all the diversity that you see around you, the people, the animals, the plants. Through everything flows the One, the Mother, the Goddess, the connecting and unifying energy. The male power is about distinction and is creative in a different way. It creates individuals. In your soul you are connected, one with the other, and yet as an individual being you are also distinct, different, unique, one of a kind. Throughout the entire great universe there is nothing and nobody that is exactly like you. What a miracle! Can you, in addition to experiencing yourself within the One, the source from which you came, also allow yourself to be otherness, the completely unique magic of being you? Feel it, even though you cannot express it in words. It is the you within you. This is the creative power of the male energy. The greatest joy in creation is when the one meets itself through the other. If you are living in a male body you can marvel at a woman, her appearance, her beauty, the access she has to certain energies, the unifying forces in her. As a woman, you can marvel at and enjoy a man, his body, his strength, the protectiveness that can emanate out from him. The play between male and female becomes a joy and a source of creativity when both sexes naturally embrace their own strength worth. Both are part of the one light, eternally connected with one another. Yet, at the same time, there is that difference that makes everything exciting and adventurous, a voyage of discovery filled with potential experiences that deepen and enrich you. That is the promise of the play between the male and the female. Today we are speaking in particular about the male energy, and I want to say something more about that. In the traditional spiritual way of thinking, it is often the case that the ego is portrayed as something that is bad and needs to be transcended. Certainly in the past, the ascending upward into the heavenly was seen as the ideal of true spirituality. But what is true spirituality? It is not just the connection, the communion, the unity that are central to spirituality, but also the ability to distinguish your unique powers of being and I. Allowing your unique powers to flow and thrive is equally as important as kitting, and this gives an earthly, manifesting form to the light of your soul. It is specifically for this distinctive strength that you have need of an ego, but by this, I do not mean the ego as it has been represented in the masculine tradition, not a tough and hardened ego that wants to distinguish itself at the expense of everyone and everything, that wants to amass power, that wants to rule over others, or over life. This view itself is a false image of what the ego is. In its true form, the ego is a focal point, a prism, for your essential I-ness, your unique power. It needs to be there and is a very special and irreplaceable part of creation, like a puzzle piece that makes you part of the larger whole. Embrace that power, say yes to it, respond with joy to who you are. You are irreplaceable. And when you stand up in your true strength, you need not transcend your ego, your personality, and leave behind. You need not deny anything in yourself. On the contrary, you become who you truly are. The light of your soul descends fully into all your cells, your body, your entire humanness. Everything that belongs to you is illumined by that light. Then you say yes to yourself, your entire humanness is allowed to be, and your unique self flows into everything you are and do. You do not need to hide your humanness, you do not need to be ashamed of it. Imagine how the light shines forth from its source through you. Allow the light to flow downward by way of your crown chakra and then throughout your entire being. It is a white and universal light, loving and gentle. It flows through all life and also through you. By way of you, the light acquires a unique radiance, a special tone, a different sound. Look within for a moment and maybe you can see certain colors, hear certain tones, or just particular feeling. Then feel deep inside yourself. This is me, this is the mystery of me. You are here to receive this mystery and no one else can do that, only you. Let it flow throughout your body, through your abdomen, legs, and feet. This is the integration, the fusion, of the male and the female within yourself. Feel welcome on earth and enjoy who you are. Do not be ashamed and do not feel guilty. Let go of old images of sinfulness. No one is served by them, not you and not the world. Let the fire burn and let the light radiate. That is my deepest desire, and my deepest wish is for you to stand up in your own strength, on your own 2 feet. Let the seed of the Christ energy flower within yourself and be not dependent on someone else. I greet you all, in equality and in deep joy. I hope you like the video. Welcome to your channel. Don't forget to check out the